So, ladies and gentlemen, the Togolese security chiefs and the AES, now they are beginning to have public collaborations. They are beginning to have joint discussion about even further strengthening the security ties between the two nations. Now, for quite a while, we've actually talked about the role of Togo in helping to defend some of the Burkinabe territories. According to, from the information we had the last time, between Palma and the city before Palma, the villagers actually spoke about the role of the Togolese armed forces. That even sometimes the Togolese armed forces even drifts into the Burkinabe territory to kind of neutralize some terrorists. And according to the information we heard from the BIR commander that actually went to liberate the city of Palma, that, sometimes when they pursue the terrorists and they're trying to enter Togo, the Togolese armed forces are there and they are ready. And most of the time, the Togolese armed forces help them in performing a close, coordinated, combat alignment to clear out these elements. Now, but we can say that for Togo, we can't say that for Benin Republic. Benin Republic is something else, because from the information we had, by the same BIR commander, that most of the time, the Beninese armed forces run 30 kilometers into their territory. 30 once they notice that the terrorists are coming. So, the proof is in the pudding. We don't have to really talk politics too much. But this is coming at a time when a lot of people just continue to criticize the Togolese, government. Remember, I don't know if some of our day ones can still remember, one of the things I said, the president of Togo, which is Traore Gazimbe, that he might have had some collaborations in the past, right? But you have to choose at some point. You have to choose between, okay, what is next for me, right? I can't be here forever. I feel like he chose to join the forces of the truth. And once you do that, the next thing you start saying is something that looks like color revolution, But the contextualized facts are there now that, look, Togo kind of aligns with what is going on, in the AES bloc. And now they are even having public collaborations. I mean, that's a very big step. And if you look at the comments of Captain Ibrahim Traore, this man is really interested in uniting Africa. The possibility of that is still under a very big question mark, because, that you think good of Africa doesn't mean everybody think good of Africa. That you believe that Africa can work as one. Some people don't have that type of, intellectual capability to think or even phantom it that it can happen. Even, let's assume Nigeria now. Some Nigerians don't even believe that Nigeria can exist as one nation. Talk more of Africa. Now, I've asked some couple Nigerians about, what do you think about one Africa ruled by one leader? And they said no. People that are so tribalistic and all of that. So at the end of the day, it is just the situation we have, Let's watch the video of Captain Ibrahim Traore's comments about, Africa uniting and how it interests him, the idea of Africa uniting as one bloc. Ladies and gentlemen, if Africa can unite, man, I can't imagine how beautiful it's going to be. But when you look at the comments of Captain Ibrahim Traore, you can just see that, man, that dream is going to be a very beautiful dream.
I am very happy and deeply moved to see you all here. I congratulate all of you for this spirit of brotherhood, this sense of African identity that you foster through your passion. It is rare to see such a gathering of so many countries at events that are not particularly special, if I may say so. Through your passion, you have succeeded in bringing together all of West Africa and even beyond. I believe that you will be able to unite all of Africa. Any action that helps bring Africans closer together to unite us, we are ready to support as much as we can. That is why we have wished that from Conakry to Addis, from Cairo to Johannesburg, you will be able to travel across Africa without anyone stopping you or telling you that you are crossing a border. We no longer want borders, and we want Africans to be able to move freely on their land, the land of their ancestors. And you are proving that. And I am very happy that you were able to convey this message to the youth. Any action that can unite and make people responsible, we will continue to support. Your action is very responsible. Raising awareness among young people about road safety is very commendable, because here in Africa, the road claims many lives. And we have very often irresponsible behavior, especially among the youth. You are raising a lot of awareness. I am very proud of that, and keep going in this direction. The other message, African integration, you are bringing it. This integration must become a reality. We must not just say with words that we want integration. Maybe there were some minor shortcomings during the crossing, but know that we are doing everything we can so that you don't get held up at the border and can cross as you wish. Burkina Faso, in any case, has opened its arms. No African who wishes to come to Burkina Faso will have to pay a single franc, and you are always welcome here in your African home.
But, ladies and gentlemen, before I start having that pipe dream, let's go to the next information. Between the region of Sokolo and Segu in Mali, ladies and gentlemen, the Malian armed forces actually had a surveillance that has been, moving in this region for the past 36 hours. Precisely, according to credible intel, 36 hours on the air. And within these 36 hours, they were able to capture the movement of elements. Now, these movements were not captured during the day. They were found at night based on infrared, thermal body emission that they were able to find at night. They noticed that the terrorist movements, they noticed the location, and they waited to the day where they dropped a lot of bombs on those guys. And ladies and gentlemen, as we speak, 35 confirmed kills have actually been stated by the Malian armed forces between the region of Sokolo and Segu. So this 35, I don't know, I don't know how many virgins are out there to, if you have to share 72 virgins among 35 people, man, that's a lot of virgin going, man. But at the end of the day, they've gone to the world beyond. Whatever motivates them to continue to say, okay, they are jihadists, they are mujahideen, whatever motivates them, yeah, you can't convince someone that has been motivated to that level to just, pick up arms and do the unthinkable. But the unthinkable has let them, has actually led them to an unthinkable place. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's move. That is kudos to the airborne component of the Malian armed forces. Now, in the Timbuktu region, something incredible actually happened. Now, in the Timbuktu region of Mali, the Malian armed forces actually discovered the movement of some pickup trucks that were properly concealed under grass. I believe a lot of you that pays attention to how these elements now move in Mali now, because the entire Malian airspace is under pure surveillance as we speak. So what we notice is that some of them, when they want to move, they put a whole bunch of grass on top of the vehicle and they move slowly. I mean, 100 meters could be maybe in probably 20 minutes, or maybe, something that should take them 2 minutes or 5 minutes. They can cover it with maybe 20-25 minutes just to make it look as if it's trees, right? But the Malian armed forces have actually noticed this. The funny thing is, when they post all these videos of their consolation of all these things, I think we exist in a world now where the social media has really messed up a lot of people. They want to post this thing on the internet. They want to show that, yeah, this is how we move now. And the Malian armed forces, if we see it, the Malian armed forces, they've already seen it. And even the ones we don't see, they even see it. So, ladies and gentlemen, with the methodology that they employed in concealing this pickup truck that were fully loaded with the fighting forces of a group called the FLA, the Malians actually dropped a precision guided, on them. Boom. And that's it. The two trucks were neutralized, and all the elements that were within it, they were welcome to, where they promised them based on their own tradition and all of that. So that's that. So the Rapid Intervention Brigade, the 10th Battalion, actually visited Kaizen today, and they went to pay tribute, right, to their fallen heroes. Now, one thing that struck me about this visit of the Rapid Intervention Brigade is, the names, the list of names of their fallen heroes, right? We witnessed some of this. You hardly find a Rapid Intervention Brigade personnel fall on the battlefield when it comes to one-on-one close combat situation. Most of the time is always maybe from IEDs and all of that, but man, it's just a different time in history. The Burkina Faso armed forces just continue to put in work, and part of what was said in this visit was that the spirit and the blood, sweat and tears and the sacrifices of those people is just what drives them to continue going. So for all of you, the military guys out here, how do you think this will motivate them? I kind of think it's going to motivate them because they're brothers in arms. Losing a brother on the battlefield is always a very, very, big stab to the chest. But at the end of the day, I believe they're going to use this as motivation and continue to go after this element. The end of this insecurity is on sight, most especially the fact that you have a government that is ready to work with the armed forces, provide every necessary logistics and, financial support and assistance, even with foreign assistance from Russia, getting modern empire real estate equipment to combat these insurgents, harming the army to the tooth. I believe they're going to get to the end of it. But ladies and gentlemen, this is unlike what we have in Nigeria. Remember, we talked about the visit of the Borno state governor, that's Zulum, a man called Zulum, to Niger Republic, right? And the Niger Republic recently revealed that they were going to be revealing the names of Nigerian politicians that were conniving to fund terrorism, arms procurement, and all of that. So, briefly after Governor Zulum visited Niger Republic, you know what happened? Boko Haram bombarded Borno State.
This town was established about 6-7 years ago with the support of the Cameroonian soldiers. But unfortunately, some months ago, they were displaced by the insurgents. I've duly notified the Nigerian military on the dangers of living this town without security. This is a border community. Wulgo, Kirawa, Baga, Damasak, Manapaturi, amongst others, are border communities that have to be protected because of the importance of these communities. But unfortunately, my request did not receive the desired attention. And 2 days ago, you have seen these boys came to this town and they vandalized everything. Fortunately enough, I think only 1 or 2 lives were lost, but some houses were burned down and some vehicles were burned down, including some of our heavy equipment. We thank God that there's that the casualties are not more. So far, so good. You have seen what has happened. About 8 vehicles were burned down. About 50 houses were burned down. But most importantly, what I want to say is about keeping the town on ground. We have seen the level of devastation, and we believe something has to be done.
I mean, the border town, Borno is not east. So the border town between Nigeria and Cameroon was seriously bombarded. And according to, it was initially Banki, but this time around, they took the attack to a whole new level. and they actually razed a lot of houses, destroyed a lot of infrastructure. They almost rendered the place useless. And according to the words of the Borno state governor, he said he actually got this intel. You see, I believe that the Nigerian leadership, they know all these things, because how did he get the intel that an attack was about to happen, right? But according to him, he informed the Nigerian armed forces. But unfortunately, his request was ignored. This is it right there. We got the receipt, right? We got the receipt. So it further backs up the statement of people like Senator Ted Cruz of the United States that the Nigerian political elites are the one funding the terrorism that has been going on in Nigeria for quite a while, to displace people internally and externally. Because from this attack alone in Borno State, we heard that several Nigerians, in thousands, they ran into Cameroon. The attack in Banki, some of the Nigerian armed forces ran into Cameroon. A lot of them, not even few. But at the end of the day, you always have people that want to come and, According to the revelation of one of the Nigerian soldier, he said there was a particular heavy attack in Borno State. And to his biggest surprise, soldiers were on the ground in their pool of blood. But when their generals came, that they were not even looking at the soldiers on the floor. They were looking at the walls. They were looking at the bullet holes. And they immediately called for engineers to come and plaster the entire wall and repaint it, just to conceal the attack and to tell the media that, look, the situation is under control. We were able to return fire, overwhelm the enemy, push them back. And that is what you hear most of the time. You see, Nigeria is a place where, you can't believe anything. Yes, I'm not saying that some of the Nigerian armed forces are not trying their best. I'm not saying they are not fighting. No. There are still good Nigerian armed forces. There are still good Nigerian police. There are still good Nigerians. Just the way you have people that do Yahoo and all of that. Okay, the first time somebody came to this platform and saw me talking, it was like, wow, a Nigerian. Nigerians are seen as if they are criminals. I'm not denying that fact. But there are still good people. Some soldiers are still fighting. Ladies and gentlemen, look at this general. Look at this colonel. That's Lieutenant Colonel Abu Ali. The great Abu Ali of the Nigerian Armed Forces. You see, after this man died, right? After he was unalived by the Boko Haram, I lost my faith in this country. This man actually fought Boko Haram to stand still. Ladies and gentlemen, look at his resting place. Look at how he was attacked. He was alone during this attack. And ladies and gentlemen, according to information, they said he fought till the very last moment. He fought them for about 300 meters. Then he backed up after his bullet finished. He backed up into this building. Even after he backed up into the building, the Boko Haram forces were scared of entering this building with him. They continued to perplex the whole building with bullet holes. You can see the hole around the building. And according to the information we were told, they said the political leadership of Nigeria, they want him to leave the Boko Harams alone. That's why you have, peace deals with bandits. Look at Nigerian politicians snapping pictures with bandits here. Look at them. Look at them. Right? They have peace deals. They tell you about repentant Boko Haram. They created these things. And now that the United States senators are talking about it, they want to come out and deny it. Look, I don't care what the American agenda is, positive or negatively. This situation needs to be handled properly. There is big truth about it. And how does the Nigerian leadership address it? They call it a closed door meeting. Look at the president of Nigeria.
Yeah.
According to the information we had, they said they called a closed door meeting with the Christian leadership in northern Nigeria. Is this not, how do you combat terrorism? Okay, there's an allegation that Christians are being killed, right? They are being unalived in Nigeria. So what are you supposed to do? Are you not supposed to make good security efforts, create measures, create systems to arrest corruption, and give the military the freedom to operate like professionals? But what did you see here? Why is he calling the Christian leaders in the north to come out and say that whatever has been said on social media is not true? Instead of addressing the issues of national threats, they want to play politics right there. You see all these leaders, all these Christian leaders that are here, they're going to pay them a heavy amount of money. But I can tell you, the threat from the United States is severe. I'm telling you, that threat is significant to them. You know, I've said it before on this platform, that once they get threatened, they start making moves, right? But this time around, the move is even corrupt. Now look at the Senate president also speaking.
It's making a lot of concerted efforts to see to it that at the end of the day, people in the IDP camps can return to their homes. It's quite a pity that this has gone on for decades, unchecked. But with the determination and the support of the National Assembly and all stakeholders, I believe that peace must return to the plateau. Peace must return to North Central. And nothing can be achieved without God. So he made the pronouncement in the church, and he has handed over the entirety of Nigeria to God Almighty. And with God on our side, the devil we see today, we shall soon see them no more.
You hardly see these people talk. And why are they? People will say, is it not just a US senator that is talking, not Donald Trump? The reason why they are talking is because these people have real estate, they have properties, they have their lifetime, stolen funds, they have their assets. You can't, the amount of wealth that the Nigerian leaders have actually amassed in the foreign treasury is absolutely unbelievable. It's ludicrous. You won't believe it. Okay, look at General Sani Abacha, right? So all these things, it will continue on unless something very significant is done. No Nigerian can actually come here and tell me that we're in a democracy. No, we're not in a democracy. The judiciary has been arrested financially. Like every system is already sabotaged. So effort needs to be made. Okay, now if a lot of Nigerians are claiming that Muslims are not killing Christians under the guise of terrorism in Nigeria, these are the words of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2014. Ladies and gentlemen, look at it here. These are his words. Nobody is making allegations that does not exist here. We are aura for aura. We are bringing what you've said. Now, you came to power destabilizing the Horda regime. Due to this, these were your facts, these were your premise to your conclusion as to why those people should not be in power. But you are in power now. Have you been able to arrest the issue? So they continue to play politics with Nigerian lives, and they continue to make money, and those people don't care. But ladies and gentlemen, let's see how far they can go with it. It's your boy 72 Android signing out. Enough said, but before I go, Guys, what do you think? Do you guys like my hair? Do you guys like this? You know, I'm not in my trademark hat or whatever today. Thanks for watching. God bless you. I love you all, man.